Good afternoon. We'll call to order the Tree Advisory Commission for Thursday, November 7th, 2024. Welcome all, including guests, and we'll introduce from left to right, starting with Joe.
Joel Sadam, city engineer.
Miriam Hoffman.
Hoff.
Greg Dearson.
Tom Romaine.
I'm Paul Eglund.
Joey Schugel, park and recreation director.
Jeff Huffman, Public Works Superintendent.
Administrative Assistant, Park and Rec.
And guests today, we'll meet John and Jory as they approach. We've got some information coming from them. Look for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the November 7th agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same. Motion carries. About the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 5th of 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same. That motion carries. We'll go to number 5 on our agenda, 5.1. Joe with city reimbursement programs, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and commission members. Really no update from the last meeting. The funds have all been used up for the year. So.
Okay. Anything from 5.2? 5.3, Park and Rec Department update. Joey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, commissioners. I do have a few things to report on today. As we're coming near the end of the year, I wanted to let everyone know that we have our tree inventory for the year on plantings and removals. So this year we've planted 63 trees in 10 different parks, which is up substantially from years past. Removals have been 46 removals. Of those 46 removals, majority of those have been ash removals. We were able to do many of those with our own staff, not as large of trees. And then street department will be coming in and stump grinding in over the course of time here to remove those. Also, I wanted to inform the commission that although we don't have an approved 2025 budget yet, we did substantially increase our line items for both tree removals and tree plantings for the 2025 budget. So if that stays within the budget that's expected next year, we still have a large amount of ash to remove, and we're trying to get ahead and have been ahead for the last 10 plus years on replantings in those areas where we anticipate the large removals. Continuing up with ongoing maintenance, tree crews will be trimming this fall and winter as time allows in the areas that we need to, where we see maintenance, bike trail, one of them, different areas where some of the limbs become issues with some of our mowing and such. So happy to answer any questions on any of those related items.
Commissioners, any questions? Did you have any, this is a deep question, did you have any bur oak blight in those park trees that that had to be taken out?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chair. I can double check with our crew leader, but nothing that I'm aware of.
Because we thought the vast majority were ashes or...
Yeah. Oh, and that's what we've been
Troubles.
focusing on, with our, and trying to mitigate that issue that we have.
Okay, thank you. Next, 5.4, Public Works update. Jeff Hoffman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. We got crews out picking up leaves. It's been a big job for them right now. They get sweeper going, three trucks going to keep them busy to picking up leaves. So that's the main thing right now. And we've been working on a lot of stumps. For the year so far, we got over 200 plus stumps cut out already, and there's a lot more to go. So we'll do that until the weather keeps, that we can keep going on it. And then after that, if the weather keeps it, we'll go into tree trimming, so. End of report.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for Jeff? 5.5 we'll skip because Tony is not present. And then 5.6, Emerald Ash Borer update. Joe?
Mr. Chair, no update at this time.
I had a question maybe for Joe, maybe for Joey. The Minnesota DOT to take down Broadway trees, do they have any update for us yet?
I think they are advertising the project to tree removal contractors, so I would anticipate sometime over the fall, winter, those removals will take place, but I haven't heard from MnDOT as far as the timeline.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we had anticipated last time, but we won't meet until they might be into the project by the time we meet next, so.
Right.
Okay.
Excuse me, could I add one thing also on that? The DNR's community forestry grants that we used the last few times to remove trees from the boulevards, the RFP for new grant rounds have not been released yet, so we haven't applied.
Okay. Can we assume that will be in 2025 sometime?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Then we're in 5.7, Buckthorn update. Jordy, if you share with us. Jordy Veit.
Jordy Veit, thank you. I don't have much of an update since the project has ended. The site has been cleaned up, so I got the flags out, the buckthorn taken out, that type of stuff. I am likely going to go through the site again in the spring just because there has been very dense and tall vegetation in there for the first time in several years, probably partly because of the rain we've had towards this fall. So I will likely go through again this spring. And I had it timed out right and had chosen when I was removing buckthorn, I did not have to use anything that was just pulled. So there was no chemical treatment involved with that. I suspect next year we'll start to probably hear and see some of the more of the results from the covered up project as well. So if I hear things with that, I can keep you updated on that as well. Otherwise, any questions?
Nope. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Completes our old business. Number 6 is new business, and 6.1, ash tree art and sculpture project update. John Nisley.
Good evening, everyone. John Nisley. I'm the planner with the City of New Ulm. And I, first of all, did everybody get with their packets the proposal that was by Kala Woodworking? Because that's what I'll be presenting on here tonight. Do you have one, Jordy? Okay. So just for a little bit of background, Harold Enamorado with Kala Woodworking contacted us to see if the city would have any interest in partnering, sponsoring, being a part of a project where they would turn some of these dead ash that are in the boulevard areas into works of art, whether that be painting them, to carving them, decorating them in some way, anything like that, just to kind of, for lack of a better term, make some good out of the bad in this situation since we're losing all these trees. So Harold put together a proposal, which again included turning these dead trees into art, and his whole idea is that it would bring together neighborhoods, it would bring together businesses who might have an interest in, like kind of having a group thing together for their business or getting their neighborhood together and the kids paint a tree or handprints or things like that. That's the whole idea behind this. And in this, I'll throw up a couple pictures for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, let's do this. I'll just pull this page over. So, for instance, this is a sort of example of turning this dead tree into some artwork. Provide some color where there is, no color in the landscape. and provide some interest. We thought with this proposal, not only would it generate interest just in the community, I don't know of anybody else doing this in the state right now, so it might bring some attention to New Ulm itself. There were some questions about the proposal, how to deal with costs, who's paying for what, how's it going to be paid for. So first things first, in his proposal, he proposed that the city would pay for the removal of the tree limbs up top to get it to a manageable level where it could be decorated, turned into art. Had that discussion with him, and we don't want that to be the case. We would like to have the tree have some sort of sponsorship, or maybe some tree trimming companies would volunteer their work to support this kind of this art project, but it wouldn't be the city's pocketbook paying for the removal of the top of the limbs. There was another question that came up as to how long will this project last. The whole intent here is that this is a very short term. The piece of art will stay up for, the idea is 1 year. Then it gets cut down and removed, stump gets removed, and you plant another tree. Or at the same time, you can have that dead tree there. You're not going to be planting in that same tree, that same stump hole anyway. You could plant the new tree right next to it, or to either side, 10 feet of either side of it, and you could get that new tree in the ground right away. I also understood there was maybe some questions on what are we going to do with the painted trees once they are taken down, because we can't burn them at the city compost site because of the paint that's on them. So we checked with the Brown County landfill. That's where they would end up having to go, as a sanitary landfill, and have some costs for that. And the costs out there is $65 a ton. So for reference, 12-foot tall tree, 16 inches in diameter, weighs 804 pounds. So that's a half a ton. So that'd be like roughly $32 to dispose of that tree out at the Brown County landfill. On another side, a 12-foot tall tree, 28-inch diameter, that's a little over a ton. That's 2,460 pounds. So obviously, the bigger the diameter, the heavier the tree, and the more expensive it would be to dispose of at the landfill. So this project was really just trying to create something out of nothing here, and have a little fun in the neighborhoods with some different types of artwork. They asked that the city's role would be kind of logistics. Where would these trees be? They asked for some help with cleanup potentially, or providing barriers, temporary barriers if necessary, for painting those trees, permits and permissions, marketing and promotion, and then Kala would handle the planning and organization, supervision, and then the ultimate execution of the art on the trees. So this was brought to the city council, I believe, in their September work session. And then we told them that we would, if the city council was interested in us continuing to pursue this type of thing, that we would come back to the Tree Advisory Commission and then present it to you as well. So that's why we're here today. Yeah, as of right now, that's where we're at. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to try to answer them. I'll put some other pictures.
Are these going to be city-owned trees, or are they going to be owned by the adjacent homeowner?
Homeowner.
The adjacent homeowner?
Yep.
And the cost of cutting the tree down would be borne by the city, from what I heard you say?
Nope. In the proposal, it says that, and I said to you guys, to you all, that the city wouldn't be responsible for that. We'd be looking for things like sponsorships or neighborhoods getting together if they want this piece of art in their neighborhood to pay for that cost. Or even maybe talk to some different tree trimmers around the community. If they're interested in being a part of this program, obviously they'd get some name recognition for their participation, and maybe they'd be willing to donate some of their time for a tree here or there.
Is there some, I think you said there was some supervision. I mean, people get carried away, and we don't want this to get cheap looking.
Yeah.
So do people choose their own art and have it approved, or how does this work?
That's a good question. So let me put it this way. The Grand Center for the Arts is also in favor of taking a look at a project like this. They could review the artwork, but we don't want it to be necessarily like telling people this is okay, or yes, we approve of this. Maybe we don't like it. If it's not offensive or it's not hurting anybody, we would let that go. And really, it's just supposed to be the identity of that neighborhood that it's in. Or if a business wants to get together, however they feel like decorating that. So there would probably be some really loose, broad guidelines, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
So who would be the arbiter of taste?
Yeah.
Good question. Who wants to be?
I'm just,
I think
I can think of some things that might be very offensive to some people.
Sure. So I think we would try to narrow down what some of those things are. Avoid anything political. Avoid anything that could be offensive, vulgar, those types of things. At the same time, I don't want to narrow it down so much that we're just basically telling people this is what you need to do. So that's the challenge with art, right? Is you need to have a little bit of an open mind to some creativity. It's supposed to make you think. That's the whole idea behind it. So if we, that's something I probably should discuss with Harold. And then also the folks with the Grand Center for the Arts, see if they have some good guidelines that we could use.
What's the process or sequence for the fire hydrant painting that is in through Minnesota Street, et cetera? Is that a similar?
Mr. Chair, we can research and see what the guidelines were for that. I'm sure we could mirror that and use that as our basis and then expand upon that. But I wasn't necessarily involved in that, but I'm sure we can find the guidance documentation that was used for that project.
Because this, I mean, in a way, it seems like that.
Very
except-
similar, yeah.
Except those are permanent.
Yep.
And there is hiding something that's very functional, but.
I'll double check on that too. They all seem to have a German theme to them, and I'm wondering if that's the case. But
Yeah,
check
I
it
can't remember any of the details, but I'm sure we can find that guidance somewhere.
I did understand that this artwork would be removed in a year because I was concerned with the tree decaying and falling over. So
absolutely.
if it gets removed in a year, that would not be a problem. Who pays for the removal of the trees after they've been there a year?
It's not the city. Let's put it that way. So that would be either that neighborhood if they want to chip in to do that together, or if they could find a sponsor for the tree that wants to do that kind of artwork. We could even chase down grants if that's something that we really want to do.
There's a timing issue between when the woodpeckers are using it and when it's a bare trunk, and we would have to. I'm curious to see what the utility plan would be there, because you really need to get that. You need to get that trunk down to bare heartwood
Right away.
to paint it,
Yep.
and then.
Right. So talking with Harold, he would bring his scrapers out there and get the bark off that way, and this would be on Harold with Kala, and then he'd also power wash it after that to prepare it for painting.
If the woodpeckers remove the bark, that's probably the least costly way of removing the bark. I had some concerns about this, and I had shared them with Greg and with John, and I appreciate that my concerns were addressed in what you have brought to us today.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions for John? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Nisley, would you anticipate, if this does move further, bringing this back to this commission one more time for approval?
Absolutely, because I think that what I was looking for and you guys provided tonight was a little bit more guidance on how you want this set up. So we can come back with something that's a little bit more cleaned up and specific for your approval.
to have a motion to support this?
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Business number 6.2, disease tree removal program. There's a draft update. And maybe Joe, you'd be in the best position to explain this for us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Yes, in your packet, page 8 is the updated proposed disease tree removal program. As you will recall, we did report at the last tree commission meeting in September regarding the August city council work session. And at that work session, it was discussed funding for Emerald Ash Borer going forward, especially in in 2025 in our upcoming year. At that time, city council provided guidance to staff that $100,000 was appropriate to be placed in the preliminary 2025 budget. And I focus on preliminary because the final budget has not been approved yet and will not be approved until December. But as of right now, this proposed draft in your packet is using that guidance of that $100,000. So both Joe, myself, and the city manager had updated this form, and those updates read as follows. So where you see in red, the reimbursement cost for boulevard tree removals was $75. You'll see that's up to $300 per tree, and that reimbursement is for one tree from January 1st to July 1st. And the reason for that is if we know homeowners would have, or landowners would have potentially more than one tree needing removal, but we wanted to spread this out as much as possible. You know, after July 1st, if there are funds remaining, then those landowners are able to submit potentially another tree in the property, and we would be tracking this as well as they came in. So that's one change. The other big update is for the non-boulevard tree removal, and as you'll see that, it was for reimbursed up to 1/3 cost, up to a maximum of $50. That was updated then to $100 per tree. And again, using that timeline of January 1st to July 1st, and if funds are remaining, additional trees can be looked at after the July 1st timeline. So really, the goal of this is to spread out those funds as much as possible. Based on the interest that the engineering office gets through permitting and requests for this, we anticipate those funds to be used up. And we can discuss this, but I also do want to note before that, we also attached the request letter that the Tree Advisory Commission did approve for the 2025 budget as well. And you'll see those line items in page 10 on that budget item. So that $10,000 for that diseased and boulevard tree program then would go for replantings, and still that $125 reimbursement that homeowners or landowners can get for replanting as part of this program would be separate funds to encourage that.
So that $10,000, okay, so, I mean, that's like 30 trees. So,
Well, the thought process here is the 10,000 would be strictly for the replants. The 10,000 would be strictly for replantings only.
okay, well, I mean, it's just not,
It's like 100 trees, right?
the budget needs to be higher than $10,000.
So Commissioner Romaine, so the $100,000 is part of this as well. The 10,000 would be used for replanting, the 100,000 would be used for removals.
Okay.
So really, if you look at it, about $110,000 budget.
Yep.
There's also been, staff has communicated that this probably isn't a one-year solution to our problem either. So, you know, planning for future years, hopefully for additional funding as well.
We're having discussion now or after we move the,
Look for a motion to approve this update.
was some discussion after we, okay. I would make that motion to, how would I put this, hang here?
To approve the tree reimbursement program update.
Motion to approve updates to the disease tree removal program.
And I would second that.
Okay, no, I would like to.
Any questions or discussion about this? Tom?
Mr. Chair, or, I have always said, while I've been on this board or commission, that, it's the city's responsibility to care for the boulevard trees, including that costs, supporting the costs of how those trees are managed or removed. So I see this as a great step. Just a couple things that struck me in here was that, and I am very supportive of this, but and I have asked this before, it says the diseased tree must be confirmed and tagged for removal by a New Ulm City certified tree inspector or a designee. So who is the certified tree inspector?
Mr. Chair, Jeff Anderson in our office is our tree inspector.
Jeff Anderson.
Pardon me?
Jeff Anderson in the engineering office.
That's
Yep.
great. So, I just have asked that before. I couldn't get a name. So, but those are my comments. I think this is a great thing.
And commissioners, also, just keep in mind, Mr. Nisley mentioned those grants, look like they will be out there again. We will continue to apply for those grants. New Ulm was the first recipient of those first 2 rounds of grants in the state. And now that Emerald Ash Borer is spread pretty much everywhere within the state, the competition for those dollars is greater. And since we've been funded twice, doesn't mean we won't get it. We will continue to apply. So there is potential still to get some additional funding to do some of this as well.
And this the $300 per tree takes care of at least 90, 100 trees, depending on the plant or the how many people take how many out at a time. But what's the total number in town yet that we kind of had as a ballpark measure that we're still standing?
Mr. Chair, we do have that in the engineering office.
Yeah, I don't have it. I can't remember the exact number that we estimate that we have left.
Right. So we have that inventory. We just don't have that information with us today. We could send that out.
Around 650 or something like that, roughly.
And that did not include city parks. That was the
separated
boulevard.
from city parks.
Yes.
Correct.
And that would be, like we ran into last year, we had many more trees taken out than people asked for reimbursement or even the replant.
Right.
So it's really fuzzy to guess or to know how many are out there yet. But 2/3 of town, 3/4 of town has got the ash trees moved through. Safe estimate?
I don't have an estimate, but I'd say over half of the ash trees that are gonna die have already died. But
And
there's a lot of them that are dying.
But that would be my assessment of Flandreau, is that everything in that valley that is ash that's going to be hit is currently on the falling,
Just
yeah,
A few sprouts living.
dead or falling stage. So we haven't seen it go through the Minnesota Riverside yet, but I mean, through town itself, I don't know. I don't want to. Is the estimate more than half? Are we through more than half? And certainly we are there with the parks. So I'm just looking at that as when the state asks how many trees you're going to treat yet or take out yet, that's going to be a factor. So we might need this level of funding for multiple years. Is that on the city council's radar?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, as I indicated, we did have that discussion at that work session to say, that we don't anticipate this to be a one-year solution.
So it might be 5 years out before we're done, assuming no DNR grant. And that's kind of the worst case scenario.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Okay. Is there a communication that goes with this then, as this gets updated through this next budget cycle?
Yeah, Mr. Stodheim, can you talk about, what the communication looks like for, if this is then indeed the updated program, how we get the word out to
Yeah,
property owners?
yeah, we can certainly post on social media to try to get the word out, and maybe we can write a town talk article for the journal. We can also use utility bill stuffers with the revised program language, and obviously it'll be on the city's website as well. But I think word will get out pretty quickly that the reimbursement's been upped, and then we're going to develop additional spreadsheet, assuming this program moves or the revisions move forward. Just to track, everything will be on a first come, first served basis after that July 1st. So we'll find a way for Jeff to track that so we can keep track of, what's out there is pending and, up to that July 1 date. So hopefully we can get as big of a reach as we can with the program in the first half of the year.
And Mr. Chair and Commissioners, think about, if we intend on being at the home show again, if we use that as a big an avenue again for marketing and promotion of an updated program.
Well, this is certainly our number one question at the home show is about this topic. Any other questions, comments from other commissioners? I will call the question or call the vote. All in favor of approving the update to the disease tree reimbursement program, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Our motion passes. Thank you, commissioners. And then thank you, Joey. Thank you, Joe, for working with that process and with that large increase that hopefully gets to where it needs to be. The next portion is 2025 election of officers, 6.3. If you sneak down and look, Tom Romaine is not allowed to be nominated for anything. So I don't know if we should trust his motion making either, but we'll call for nomination for chair for 2025.
Are you willing?
Yep.
I'm not, my hearing has not gotten any better. So,
You can move this
so
to
you're
here.
looking for
Yep.
remarks or something? But
I'll take nominations from the floor for chair. Sure,
Did you wish to serve again?
I'm willing,
You're willing?
sure.
Then I would nominate Greg.
I'll second that.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations for chair? And we'll call the vote. All in favor of,
Aye.
any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will accept, happily be chairperson for 2025. And because of Tom Romaine's time served, I'll call for nomination for vice chair.
You serve.
Okay. I would serve as that vice chair, yes.
Make your last nomination, Tom.
I would nominate Paul England.
All right. We got a nomination? And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Congratulations, Paul. for 2025. The next item is 6.4, round of applause and thank you for the service to the City of New Ulm as a Tree Advisory Commissioner to Tom Romaine, who has served in this role for the past 7.5 years. Thank you.
As the mayor, I'd like to make some comments directed at Tom. First of all, while we recognize that Tom has served and shared with us his time and talent this last round for 7.5 years, in my conversations with him, it has been for a much longer time than that, and that he would finish out a term here and there over quite a long period of time, if not a decade or two. So on behalf of the City of New Ulm, finding a person like Tom that's as dedicated as he is, and you heard him asking questions, which is so important, serving on a commission to better understand the business of the commission. I want to just extend to you, Tom, a heartfelt thank you from the City of New Ulm for sharing again your time and talent with us, not for just 7.5 years, but for the many, many years that you have given. And I have here for you a recognition award that I'd like to hand to you. Thank you for your service and appreciated our conversation the other evening.
Okay.
You may have the
I-
floor,
there's-
Tom.
You said I was kind of one of a kind, and most people have said it's great that you're one of a kind, because they didn't want any more kind like this. But my wife a long time ago said that she was glad that she married the sanest of the Romaine males. And then I said, well, thank you. And she said, but that's a relative thing. So, thank you all. I've had a really good time with this. The 7.5 years is the last consecutive one, but it seemed that whenever any left the commission during their term, it was like, Tom, come back and fill this one out for us. So I don't know how many years it's been, but it's quite a few. It's been very interesting, and I'm looking forward to for at least a year off. Thank you.
I would also thank you, Tom. You've guided me and all the new commissioners as we have come on in both the approach and then the role of this commission within our city. So I appreciate your time and guidance. I'll take the manila folder and pass it to the next chair, or to the next commissioner, I should say. Any other new business for us this afternoon? Seeing none. I'll announce the date of the next meeting, January 2nd, 2025, here at 4 p.m. And then please email any agenda items ahead of time, a week ahead, please. With no further business, we are adjourned.